another edition of Highways and Hometowns. My name is Patrick Charlton. That right there is Chris Rowland. Y'all, this one is going to be an exciting one. You know what this podcast is. This is the Texas Concrete Pipe Association's twists and turns through roads, bridges, engineers, students, philanthropists. We have everybody on these episodes, and we try to give you an engaging topic every time. And this time, we have one of our most engaging guests. If you are in this industry, you know the man sitting to my right. Matt, tell everybody a little bit about yourself, and then tell us about your new firm.
But before we get there, I've known Matt a long time through industry, so we're going to stay in the industry and not tell old stories, okay?
I don't know what to do with my hands, though. What do I do with my hands? I'm Matt Childs with Matt Childs Engineering. Proud to say that I'm fourth generation in the industry in concrete pipe and precast. My family started a plant in the 1930s in Springfield, Illinois, and currently with the American Concrete Pipe Association, my nephew Corey Frazier is fifth generation in the industry.
Wow.
So it shows how the concrete pipe industry really just sucks you in and keeps you there forever, multi-generational. So this industry has paid for a lot of colleges, a lot of meals, and really gotten my family through. So I was with American Concrete Pipe Association for a number of years and have worked in the industry. I grew up working in a pipe plant as a laborer, so I'm happy to say that I've done about everything you can do in a pipe plant.
Steve made sure of that, huh?
Yeah, my dad, Steve Childs, he's celebrating his 60th year in the industry, and I'm happy he's part of the firm too. So our firm started a couple years ago, and it started with just me. Now we have a staff of 8, including AutoCAD technechicians, some salespeople, because we sell some products to the industry.
And a great staff. I know many of them. I know they're great.
Yeah, and we have my partner is Derek Light, who is similar to me but much younger and much better looking, and he's Canadian.
He's my hockey buddy.
Yeah, he has similar background. He's done sales, technical marketing, operations, and engineering in the precast industry. So we're kind of a one-trick pony. We do design work for pipe, box, precasters, structures, and then for a lot of contractors too. We'll do cast-in-place structures for them when the product is too big to precast it, which has to be pretty big.
It does, but you guys do a great job, and hey, there's the plug, is when you need design work, this is the firm to go to. There's no doubt about it.
Well, thank you. And also proud to announce that on October 1st, we have another new engineer starting, a fellow by the name of Matt Jackson.
Another king in the industry. This is why I say, these guys, if they can't get it done, you better just put those plans away. It's not going to get done.
Well, thanks. But that's what we get a lot of. We get a lot of designs that other people can't do. And we either know how to do it, or we make it up as we go along.
Well, your experience in the industry, though, allows you to understand you're not just sitting in a vacuum as an engineer building something. You've done it. You have practical application. That's what's huge. So you get the technical expertise with somebody that has practical application. It's a great recipe.
Chris, I don't think that can be overstated. I think that's such a huge component that you and your partner and most people in your firm have actually worked in the business. Tell us a little bit about why that's important, Matt.
So I think we bring something to the table that is unique because we've run precast operations. And so we know that the last thing a precaster needs is engineering to hold up the ordering of wire, the ordering of steel, the forms, getting ready. So, it's really important that the lead times for our engineering design is very low. And I hear stories of people that also do this kind of work that have lead times of 4 to 6 weeks, and box culverts, as you know, Chris, we try to turn that around in 1 day.
Yeah, quick.
And with Matt coming on board, we want to get our lead times on structures and pipe down to a week. And the importance of that is, Chris, as you know, the process, really what slows down precasters is they get the designs from the engineer, the consulting engineer typically, and then that design has to go to engineering, get designed before you can order the steel, before you can do anything. But when I design it, it has to go back through the review process. So any delay of even 1 day can really affect the precaster. He's got a schedule, he's got to order everything.
One of the other things I think you do a really good job in, and as again, I am not a PE, I'm not an engineer, I've just been around this industry a long time. Sometimes there's a way to design something that will accomplish the engineering requirement in two different ways. Increased steel versus an increased wall thickness. And Matt does a great job of saying, from an operational standpoint, what's going to be your easier production, what's better to go through, what cuts that lead time for that end user, and he can design it and it will meet the requirements, and the engineering is perfect, but you can accomplish it in different ways, and he acknowledges that instead of just this is the one way to do it. So that firm, they do a great job for our industry.
Yeah, I think a great example of that and what you're saying is we are licensed in 31 states and soon to be 5 provinces, because Derek is a Canadian, so he doesn't really speak English. He says a boat and a. He doesn't think he does because he's been in Texas for a long time. But with all those different agencies we deal with, as you know, just in Texas, there's about 50 different designs you have to do. You take box culverts, for example. Not only are there different designs, typically it's under ASTM-C 1577, but what we find out is that the forms that customer A has is different from the forms that customer B, and you don't want to include certain things like stirrups for shear steel, so we do everything we can to avoid that, and we talk to the precaster up front. We mentioned submittal review. A lot of times, I think what we need to do as an industry is, when we know that submittal review is going to take a long time, big airport jobs, railway jobs, things like that, we should just have a meeting up front with the customer. A lot of times, and I did this when I was a consultant, we think that we have to add conservative design on top of what is already conservative design. So a lot of times I'll get a factor of safety that's, the request is 2, or I've even seen 4, and we're already at a 50% factor of safety in our product. So we're already over-designed. We're designing for 4,000 PSI concrete or 5,000, and in reality, what are we getting? 6, 7, 8,000 PSI concrete. So one of the great things about our industry is concrete pipe and box culverts. I love to say, and it offends some people in the precast industry, but when you meet them, you'll know this is true. It's somewhat idiot-proof, because
they need it with people like me. Come on, let's be honest.
We design it so conservatively that it's really hard to mess it up.
It is, yes.
Which is great as an engineer.
It is, but there's a need for that too. Is we all have to remember, most of the public, it's out of sight, out of mind. They never know it's in the ground, but it's a safety factor because it is for public safety. It is under our roads. It's in our schools, and so it is idiot. I agree with that, but there's a reason, because our public counterparts, their number one focus is the safety of the public. So yeah, we will look for the design, the engineer, and as from industry, we're a for-profit organization, I will say, but we have to remember that these municipalities, the state, their number one focus is safety, and so it is over-engineered. But we all go to bed at night. Our kids are on the roads, and they can be thankful for that engineering service.
Yeah, and you're in sales. I'm in engineering. What is the last thing we want? The last thing we want is to design something and 6 months, 2 years, 3 years later get a phone call that says, this is not working, it's failed. Fortunately, I've never had that call. I don't know if you have, but...
No, I've never had any failures. I've had, and I don't want to... 99 times out of 100, there's been an installation issue. It's typically not a product issue. Precast concrete product that's engineered, it's near bulletproof.
Yeah.
So I tell people all the time. I told the legislature this yesterday that was walking around here. We are in the least sexy business there is, right? But I say that, but then look, you were telling me yesterday about some of the stuff we manufacture is in some pretty cool stuff. So talk to us about the airport jobs and the planes and things like that to tell people who aren't an engineer or who aren't in this business kind of the impact that it has. You guys talk about projects and stuff like that and safety factors and all that. Tell us why that's important with some of the projects you're working on.
Yeah, so, we do, it seems like I mentioned before, we end up doing a lot of the designs that nobody else wants to do. One of those is we do a lot of airport design work. That is also one of those where airport design and railway design, the standards are so conservative on those. But then we have design engineers who will tack on additional conservatives. They'll require a water table all the way to the top slab when we know that water table in Dallas is 3 or 4 or 10 feet below grade. They will have higher unit weights than what's really out there. They're trying to build in conservatism, but
everybody on that 747 coming in is thankful, though.
Yeah. Yeah, so we just did some really cool work for Ameritex. Ameritex thankfully sends us some great, interesting designs that is very challenging. But
sometimes we make those up just to see if you can do it.
And vice versa, But we've done we're doing some work for Bush Intercontinental Airport, and the shallower you get, the more steel, greater wall thickness, more stirrups for shear steel are required in that project. A really cool project that I'm working on with you guys is a couple of ports. And ports are really interesting. And I was in Seattle last week visiting my nephew, Corey, and he runs the Pacific Northwest Pipe Association. We were up there, and obviously Seattle has tons of ports. And they have those giant cranes. Well, each one of those giant cranes, the legs on them, if you look at them, it's 60 kips per square foot, or no, it's 60 kips per column, and they're about 2 by 2. So you have huge point loads under there. But then you also have huge forklifts, which are dynamic live loads. You have all kinds of other forces acting on those box culverts. My advice to engineers who are doing the site development on these projects is try to get those box culverts deep. Because if you're talking about live load, the deeper you can go, the more that live load is distributed. When you get down to about 8 feet, and I know that's kind of tough when you're on a port, but that live load almost goes away at 8 foot of depth. So that's a good standard. So we're doing some really cool stuff, and would love to go see it finished, but I don't know if they'd give us access, would they?
Just book a flight.
Yeah.
You'll land right on it.
Yeah, the airports we've done airports in Texas, obviously, Austin and Houston, Love Field. We've done Louisiana, Baton Rouge we're doing right now. And then a lot of Air Force Base work, which is really cool.
You made a good point about seeing that end product. As we know, it's the non-sexy industry. It's the first to go in. It's underground. Same thing. I've been a part of some very cool and interesting projects early on. It was under non-disclosure at the time. It was a huge Google data center that was going to be new. And so we were doing underground utilities for it. Couldn't say what everybody in the world kind of knew, but here it is. Something I'd love to go see the data center where it's all done, but it's something we never get invited back to. So we're the foundation. We're the underground. We make that site happen. We never get to see the cool thing after the fact.
Yeah, but we know where to sneak in.
Oh, we do.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just some really cool stuff out there. Imagine when we finish support and you go visit the site and you show up and they've got someone in management taking you through a tour, and you say, oh, no, I don't want to see the really cool stuff. Take me underground. I want to see the box culverts. And they just look at you like you're nuts.
Matt, and I know we're wrapping up on time, but I want to get to one thing. You've talked a tremendous amount about box culverts, and there's a little known fact that more box culverts are used in Texas than the rest of the country combined. It's been a sweep across Texas. Talk a little bit about, and Chris, you too, a little bit about the experience of the shift from large diameter RCP to box culvert.
Well, I grew up working in a plant, and when I was a kid, one of the first jobs I worked on in 1985 was 13 by 10 box culverts. And I thought, what is this thing that I'm working on? And I worked in the steel crew, tying steel, putting the cages together. They weighed about 1 million pounds, and I was a scrawny little kid. In Texas, they love the box culverts, and you have the most capacity to carry water in a box culvert. Precast, you get in and out quickly. You're not having to form it up, and you're building it in a manufacturing facility. So you have great quality control. You know what you're going to get, and you see them everywhere in Texas. And it's funny, in Texas, a lot of 3x2 and 4x2 and small box culverts.
Yeah, I would say in my career and watching it progress in Texas, because it is bigger. Now, even 20 years ago, there was a little more box culvert in the rest of the country, but it's expanded greatly in the state of Texas. Sometimes even later tragedies, maybe our engineering community saw it. I lived through Hurricane Harvey down in Houston. It was as bad as most people saw on TV. There was no exaggeration from the news. It was pretty devastating. And some of those lessons are learned, and we hope that there was foresight on those district engineers and everything, that's why box culverts made, and especially large. As you were saying, the amount of water it can move is incredible. And unfortunately, not just in areas like Houston, in all areas. This DFW was not a coast area, but we have more and more buildings and concrete, and that water has to go somewhere. And so we do see that usage of box culvert, because a lot of water has to be moved distance to make the public safe and to keep things passable. And that's where I think we see a lot of it. I give Texas a lot of credit that they're on the forefront of a lot of our infrastructure. I've lived in multiple states, and my hat goes off to a lot of the Texas group engineers that make our infrastructure, because I think they do a very, very good job compared to a lot of places I see in the country.
Well, guys, I want to close with something that is completely off topic. I am honored and privileged to be standing next to the only two chairmen that I've known at the Texas Concrete Pipe Association. In U2's tenure, we have become the trusted resource in Texas as an association for pipe, box, precast. Specifiers in every major metroplex and TxDOT rely on this association's work, and none of that would be possible without U2's guidance. So from the bottom of my heart and everybody that works here at this association and is a part of it, thank you both. It's been an incredible 3.5 years. It's been one hell of a journey.
Thank you, and obviously you do an incredible job. I feel great because what I did was I showed you what not to do. And then Chris came in, fixed everything.
How about that?
And it's a power, it's a force.
Thank you.
And what the TCPA does with education, there's so much education available through the TCPA. Walt Catlett does a great job with our education, and so many ways to earn PDHs and CEUs. Just go to the TCPA website and you can get hours and hours and hours of education, which I need about 18 hours, I think.
We'll help you out there.
Yeah, I'm licensed in 31 states, so it's kind of hard to keep track of that. You just have to shoot for about 30 hours a year. But thank you for having me on, and I know this is probably the last time, so I want to make sure I say hi to my fiance. We're getting married October 12th. Hi, Kim, and thank you. And you're coming?
Yes.
Okay, we got it on. We got it recorded. You're welcome to come too, Chris.
Y'all, thank you very
I want to
much.
say hi to Mom and Dad, my kids, Ben and Sarah. Thank you, Jesus.
Anybody who knows Matt knew that was going to happen. There was no stopping that. Chris, what else you got?
No, I just want to thank Matt for all his years of service, both direct in industry as an engineer. He is one of the guys that we look to. He's got a legacy going that's just incredible, and thank you. And we'll be working for a few more years together. I'm not ready to hang up the hat yet, but
Will you sign that contract today?
how many zeros you got on it?
Y'all, for the Texas Concrete Pipe Association and Highways and Hometowns, thank you very much. This has been one heck of an episode.
Thanks for joining.